Hi, it's Jen Tomko with Clarity Health Solutions. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to people about empowerment. In the last couple weeks, I know people have done a great job of adjusting back into like this new norm, which we're going to be adjusting again soon. But I feel like this is really another opportunity to start focusing on how we can continue to grow now that we're out of like a major crisis. We're kind of coasting for a little bit. So I wanted to talk about empowerment and how we do that when we're feeling victimized or we're feeling put down or static for a while. So first I wanted to talk about what empowerment is. Empowerment is when we use our self-determination or self-discipline as a way of propelling us forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Please feel free to add any. But I wanted to bring a couple of questions up that I have been hearing from my clients. One is one of my clients asked me, I just feel yuck about everything. I don't have the motivation to do the things that I really want to do based on what the mental health articles tell me. And so I get this. I know they talk about meditation, get a good night's sleep, make sure that you're exercising. And sometimes for people that doesn't feel interesting or realistic or they're motivated to do it at all. So what I encourage is to look at some other things. There are plenty of things can make us feel empowered. A big piece that might be helpful is thinking about what your strengths are. Like, if you're really good at playing the guitar, hone in on that and maybe teach somebody. Or if you just like to focus on gratitude for a little while and look around and just appreciate what you have and what's out there for your life that you appreciate, like even your physical health or the fact that the sun rose today. It can be really basic. Primarily I just focus on things that you can do and you can accomplish and try not to spend so much time on the negative or the things that you can't do. Journaling is a great way of getting your negative feelings out so you feel stronger. Another thing that I'm hearing a lot from some of my clients is a feeling of lost. Like, I haven't been working, I'm not doing anything with my time, I am really bored, but I know I should be doing all these things, but I'm not. And I'm hearing a feeling of lost. What I suggest for that is to make a list of, let's say, 5 of your core values. Like, I'm kind, I'm warm, I'm giving, whatever it is, and then take those 5 core values and apply them. Make sure that you are living to those core values all the time. So it almost is a roadmap for us to build our self-esteem and to remind us that we do have some kind of foundation that we can bounce off of. It's very helpful to know that we have it inside us. And I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I'm a therapist, but it doesn't take rocket science. A big piece of it is me just reminding you of the skills that you already have, like what your strengths are. So just make sure that you're allowing yourself the time to tap into that. Anne James, thank you so much, Anne. I appreciate you being on. She said, how should I feel when I'm empowered? What is the opposite state of empowerment? Okay, so excellent question. The opposite state of empowerment would be feeling out of control, feeling that other people are dictating what direction your life's going in. And sometimes we do this when we feel like we're too spread out, we're spread too thin, and we're trying to make everybody happy. A lot of people take on other people's stress. So if so-and-so is having a hard time, then I might feel a responsibility to empathize or sympathize so much that it feels like my problem too. So when we do that in too many areas of our lives, we will find ourselves feeling really powerless over all the things that we really have no control over anyway. So empowering ourselves is really coming back to knowing like what control we have and that self-determination that comes with it. And it's essential to be able to feel complete. And it's all the whole oxygen mask thing, you know, where they talk about if you're on a plane, you know, always put the oxygen mask on yourself first so you can help other people. Same concept when we're looking at empowerment. Another thing, how should I feel when I'm empowered? You should feel a little more balanced. You should be able to set appropriate boundaries with the people in your life that might want to lean on you more than is healthy for you. You should feel like you might be able to put some of the stress back on somebody else. So if somebody, like mom said, you know, the kid said, "Mom, I lost my shoes," and you find yourself like getting up to go find the shoes, that is you taking your energy and putting it on someone else. And the idea is for you to empower that child. So you're setting boundaries of saying, "Sorry, buddy, I don't know where your shoes are. I need you to find them though." That's not only healthy for you, but it's also setting a boundary and empowering the child to solve their own problems. And we can do that with a lot of different areas of our lives. So ultimately the feeling would be having more control over ourselves and not focusing so much on what everybody else has control on. And we should feel a level of growth in that. It feels good. It feels really good. Another question that I got was, I feel empowered. I feel pretty good, but how do I know if it's enough? You know, we're always a work in progress. We always are modifying ourselves, and hopefully we're growing all the time. So it's up to you what you think is enough. You know, if you find that you are, I don't know if there's a limit. I don't know if we ever get there completely. I feel very empowered, but at the same time, I certainly have to cater to other people sometimes, and sometimes that weighs on and I feel disempowered, and then I set boundaries and I come back up and I start feeling empowered again. So it really is dependent on maintaining a sense of balance. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate your positive feedback. I'm so grateful. She said she's a huge fan. That means so much to me. Are there any other questions that you have about getting empowered or feeling empowered? One of the questions that I sometimes get when I'm talking about this is people say, you know, I don't know how to figure out who I am. And how do I get to an empowerment if I'm not even sure of who I am as a person? So what I suggest in those situations is I tell people to kind of make that same list of like, what are my core values? But think about heroes in your life. I don't have one hero. What I do is when I have people in my life, I look at each of them and I think about what aspect of theirs that I admire the most. So I have a friend named Libby, and Libby is excellent with being hospitable. And so I always watched her and I added her hospitality into my skill set. And I used her as a guide on how I wanted to do that, how I wanted to proceed with that. Whereas I have other people in my life, somebody I met for literally 2 minutes once, and I was in my 20s and she was in her 50s and she was going back to get her law degree. And in my head, I'll never see her again. She'll never know this, but I see her as one of my mentors in my head of always wanting to grow and never holding ourselves back. So I take different parts of different people that I admire and I meld them a little bit into the person that I really want to be as authentic as I can to myself. When I make a mistake and I feel like I've made an error in judgment, or I've made a bad decision or something that I'm not proud of, then that disempowers me too. So whenever I come back to my core values, I can always trust it. And it keeps me knowing that I'm capable of making good choices. So, you know, think about the people in your life that, yeah, maybe you don't have one role model. Maybe you have, 10 role models, and one of them is even a fantasy of how you see that person, like it was for the lady in the nail salon that I saw. ultimately it still is an opportunity to figure out who we want to be and then just continue down that path. What would so-and-so do in this situation? And then as you do that, you actually like become who you've always wanted to be, and then staying true to that is ultimately what integrity is. So those are a few suggestions that I would give. Some other things, there's some, I guess exercises that you can do for empowerment. Maybe recognize the areas in your life that you do have control. You do have control over your choices for the most part. You do have control over how you treat your body, how you think when you're thinking about things. You have a choice of whether you think about things in a positive way or a negative way. I've heard a lot of people tell me, I'm the whole COVID thing that's going on. I've had people say, oh, we can't get out of the house. I can't, this is terrible. And I challenge people a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely not great. And it's awful, the losses and the stress and all of that. But for a majority of the population, we've been fortunate to be able to utilize this time to get closer to our families or reset or have that downtime. So we have a choice if we want to catastrophize or if we want to try our best to find the good in things. So I know that bad things are out there. I just choose not to spend a lot of time thinking about it because I don't have any control over it, and it sucks my energy, and I don't really want energy suckers out of me. I really want to focus my energy in the right direction, and in my mind, that's with my clients. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you to kind of help see how little ways that we can empower ourselves. The complicated part is when we feel anxious in addition to just basic empowerment. Anxiety in and of itself is disempowering because it makes us ruminate about negative thoughts. And so to reality check ourselves, and when we have those negative thoughts come in, stop the thoughts and try to replace them with something that's also real. Like even if you have if you have physical pain, that certainly is real. It's not going to go away if it's chronic, but to be able to say a whole bunch of my other a whole bunch of other parts of my body are feeling just fine, and to focus on the good so that we're not continuing to feed our own negative beliefs and thoughts. If we thought about it 100 times, it's not going to do us any good to think about it 101, and the chances are you've probably already thought about it 100. So those are some suggestions. If you need any additional help, or let me know, and you can certainly message me at clarityhealthfl.com, or even the Facebook page right down below would be perfect. So thank you all so much for joining. I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.